Today I made this great memorial video for my dad, and I'm very excited to share it with everyone. And it's taken me a while to been able to work on it and get it all done and finished and accomplished. But it's finally done and accomplished, and I'd like to share it with everyone, and hopefully they have the same kind of loving memories I have about my father, and we can all share them together right now. Hope you enjoy.
I will remember you. Will you remember me? Don't let your life pass you by. Weep not for the memories. Remember the good times that we had. Let them slip away from us when things got bad. Clearly I first saw you smiling in the sun. I wanna feel your warmth upon me. I wanna be the one. I will remember you. Will you remember me? Don't let your life pass you by. Weep not for memories. I'm so tired, but I can't sleep. Standing on the edge of something much too deep. It's funny how it feels so much like we cannot say a word. We are screaming inside, oh, we can't be heard. I will remember you. Will you remember me? Don't let your life pass you by. Weep not for the memories. So afraid to love you, more afraid to lose. Clinging to a past that doesn't let me choose. Where once there was a darkness, a deep and endless night. Gave me everything you had, oh, you gave me life. And I will remember you. Will you remember me? Don't let your life pass
Took a look down a westbound road, right away I made my choice. Headed out to my big two-wheeler, I was tired of my own voice. Took a beat on the northern plains and just rolled that power on. "12 hours out of Mackinac City, stopped in a bar to have a brew. Met a girl and we had a few drinks, and I told her what I decided to do. She looked out the window a long, long moment, then she looked into my eyes. She didn't have to say a thing. I knew what she was thinking. Roll me away, won't you roll me away tonight? I too am lost, I feel double-crossed. Now I'm sick of what's wrong and what's right. We never even said a word, we just walked out and got on that bank. And we rolled. Roll clean out of sight. Rolled across the high plains, deep into the mountains. Felt so good to me. Finally feeling free. Somewhere along a high road, the air began to turn cold. She said she missed her home. I headed on along. Still alone on a mountaintop, staring out at the Great Divide. I could go east, I could go west, it was all up to me to decide. Just then I saw a young hawk flying and my soul began to rise. And pretty soon, my heart was singing. Roll me away, I wanna roll me away tonight. Gotta keep rolling, gotta keep riding, keep searching till I find what's right. And as the sunset faded, I spoke to the faintest first starlight. I said, next time, we'll get it right. Roll me away. Roll me away. Roll me away. Climbing up on Salisbury Hill, I could see the city light. Wind was blowing, time stood still. Eagle flew out of the night. My heart going boom, boom, boom. Son, he said, grab your things, I've come to take you home. Yeah, don't do it. To keep in silence, I resigned. My friends would think I was a nut, turning water into wine. Open doors would soon be shut. So I went from day to day. My life was in a rut, till I thought of what I'd say, which connection I should cut. I was feeling part of the scenery. I walked right out of the machinery. My heart going boom, boom, boom. Hey, he said, grab your things, I've come to take you home. Hey, back home. When illusions in a net, I'm never where I wanna be. And liberty she pirouette when I think that I am free. Watch my empty silhouette, who close their eyes but still can see. No one taught them any can. I will show another me. The day I don't need a replacement, I tell them what the smile on my face meant. My heart going boom, boom, boom. Hey, I said, you can keep my things, they come to take me home. It's not time to make a change. Just relax, take it easy. You're still young, that's your fault. There's so much you have to know. Find a girl, settle down. If you want, you can marry. Look at me, I am old, but I'm happy. I was once like you are now, and I know that it's not easy to be calm when you found something going on. But take your time, think a lot. Why, think of everything you've got, for you will still be here tomorrow, but your dreams may not. How can I try to explain? 'Cause when I do, he turns away again. It's always been the same old story. From the moment I could talk, I was ordered to listen. Now there's a way, and I know that I have to go away. I know I have to go. not time to make a change. Just sit down, take it slowly. You're still young, that's your fault. There's so much you have to go through. Find a girl, settle down. If you want, you can marry. Look at me, I am old, but I'm happy. All the times that I've cried, keeping all the things I knew inside. It's hard, but it's harder to ignore it. If they were right, I'd agree, but it's them they know, not me. Now there's a way, and I know that I have to go away. I know I have to.
Nights in white satin, never reaching the end. Letters I've written, never meaning to send. Beauty I'd always missed with these eyes before. Just what the truth is, I can't say anymore, 'cause I love you. Yes, I love you. Oh, I love you. Gazing at people, some hand in hand, just what I'm going through, they can understand. Some try to tell me thoughts they cannot defend. Just what you want to be, you will be in the end. And I love you. Yes, I love you. Oh, I love you. Oh, I love you. picking up the pieces of my sweet shattered dream. I wonder how the old folks are tonight. Her name was Anne, and I'll be damned if I recall her face. She left me not knowing what to do. Carefree highway, let me slip away on you. Carefree highway, you've seen better days. The morning after blues, from my head down to my shoes. Carefree highway, let me slip away on you. Turning back the pages to the times I love best, I wonder if she'll ever do the same. Now the thing that I call living is just being satisfied with knowing I got no one left to blame. Carefree highway, I got to see you, my old flame. Carefree highway, you've seen better days. The morning after blues, from my head down to my shoes. Carefree highway, let me slip away on you. Searching through the fragments of my dream-shattered sleep, I wonder if the years have closed her mind. I guess it must be wanderlust or trying to get free from the good old faithful feeling we once knew. Carefree highway, let me slip away on you. Carefree highway, you've seen the better days. The morning after blues, from my head down to my shoes. Carefree highway, let me slip away on you. Let me slip away on you. Carefree highway, I got to see you, my old flame. Carefree highway, you've seen better days. The morning after blues, from my head down to my shoes. Carefree highway, let me slip away on you. You could read my mind, love, what a tale my thoughts could tell. Just like an old-time movie about a ghost from a wishing well, in a castle dark or a fortress strong, with chains upon my feet. You know that ghost is me, and I will never be set free as long as I'm a ghost that you can't see. If I could read your mind, love, what a tale your thoughts could tell. Just like a paperback novel, the kind the drugstores sell. When you reach the part where the heartaches come, the hero would be me.
Well. Okay, the next one we're gonna do. Right, you keep talking that. Okay, no. We'll do that all day long. The next one we're gonna do, so we're gonna go to one of those square dances. And then we're gonna have him up at the stand videotaping that, but I'm gonna show up and I'm gonna be all fucked up and I'll be like, and fuck up all the hillbillies. They'll be like, I'll be like, you're running out of everybody. Is that great? Like Jackass! Oh my god! We'll have that on video. Like you get people around. I'll be all fucked up.
You'll be like a wedding crash.
You like crickets like,
I was really friends with Chris. He went out with Jana for over 5 years now. And past year we became close. I helped him move to his new house up in Lewiston and spent a lot of time there during the summer. And he always came to my concerts where I played and always cheered for me and always very friendly to me. And I remember any place we would go, he'd always make friends. He always had that personality of a very friendly person. And there's just never in a dull moment with him. He was very full of life. I know I'll never forget him. I knew that he loved Jana with all of his heart. He was very passionate about music too, which I am. His favorite band was Pink Floyd. Dark Side of the Moon was the album, and I remember we'd drive in his car and he would blast it very loud and just tell me about the songs and what it meant to him. And he's very passionate, full of life, and I'll never forget him.
Hi, I'm Natalie. Kayla and I met in 4th grade, and we met at Grosse Pointe Woods at Mason Elementary School. I knew Chris since 1994 or 95, and he's always been a hyper loving, caring, passionate person. Always in a pair of gym shorts or working out shorts and a tank top or no shirt at all. And after they moved to Giannetti, he and I, every time I went over there, he was so excited to see me. We used to sit down at the kitchen table and just talk for an hour. And I was there to see Valen, but I also enjoyed talking to him. And he was always Valen's support, always such a loving and caring father to Valen and Brandon both. And they're going to miss him so much, and I just pray for their strength. And one thing that I really remember about Chris is back in middle school or elementary school, Chris picked us up from Laura Wilton's house in his quad car, and he got on his loudspeaker and said, "Valen and Natalie, come out the house right now." And so I jumped in the back of his police car, and he was like, "I wouldn't get back there if I were you. Those guys have license sit back there." So he was always so funny, such a great guy. And after I moved out to Brighton, he always brought Valen over. He was there for my graduation parties, always best friends with my dad. My dad just lost a friend because Chris is gone now. But another thing that I always remembered too was him cleaning over at Giannetti and him doing the laundry. And he took such good care of Brandon and Phelan for so long. He will be missed terribly, but the thing that I know is that he's in heaven now and his mind is at peace. And I pray for strength for Brandon and Phelan, Anne Marie and Michaela, and all of his other family, brothers and sisters, that loved ones that are left behind. You can tell from the last 2 nights that so many people cared about him, and he was a great man. And I just wish the best for Brandon and Phelan's future, and Chris will always be in my thoughts and in my prayers, and his funny, loving personality will always be with us.
Probably a lot of people out there that don't know me. There's probably some that do. My name is Mark Rhodes. I was a longtime friend of Chris Cole since we were kids. There's just one thing I want to say, and every time I would see him, my name is Mark Rhodes, so he would call me Rodeo. And there was a Frank Zappa song that would sound like, I'm living in the Mexican rodeo. And every time he seen me, he'd hug me and he'd sing that song to me. And he'd have the biggest smile on his face, and he'd repeat it like 3 or 4 times, or the whole night we were together, whatever. But that's all I wanted to say. And just one last, I'm living in a Mexican rodeo. See you, Chris.
Right. My name's Brad, and I was a good friend of Chris's. I also love his son, Brandon. He's a good guy. Never gonna forget anything about Chris. Everything from just crazy animals to helping him move up north and all the good times we had together. I didn't know him that long. It was only like 5 years, about maybe 6 years, but he's still one of the coolest guys I probably ever met in my life. So I'm definitely gonna miss him, and I'll be here with Brandon until probably forever.
Hey Chris, it's little Susie to boot. And Pat, we just want to tell you how much we love you and how glad you were our brother, and that you protected too, and me, and that we really enjoyed all of the great times and loved your phone calls every day. And loved having you over for holidays. And loved going over your house for the Super Bowl games. And visiting with all your critters. And we're learning a lot more great things about you from all of your friends and former colleagues. And we can't believe what a great friend you are to everybody here. And everybody said you were like a brother to them. Anyway, you're forever in our hearts. We'll always love you. And we promise to take care of Brandon, Phelan, and Noodle. We promise we'll take care of Brandon and Phelan and Noodle. And that they'll never go without any love or anything. Come on, people, now. Smile on your brother. Everybody get together and try to love one another right now. Godspeed, Chris. Love you. Love you.
He was a little boy. He was about 7, 8, 9 years old. He loved to take baths. And it was on Alder Road. And he would get in the tub and he'd fill the tub to the top. And he'd stay in there for hours until he was shriveling up. And he would splash so hard that the whole bathroom would be wet. And we could never get him out of the tub. Consequently, when he was older, he became a scooter driver. So, I mean, that's one of the good memories I have of what fun we had in the water.
No, just you can say a good memory and I'll edit it. So
yeah, Chris, I'm gonna miss you very much. You're obviously your best friend. It's killing me inside that this, all came to what it did, and you know that, and I know you're in a better place, and I'm gonna miss you very, very much. I love you more than anything, and I know we're gonna meet again one day. So just God be with you, and I'm gonna miss you, and that's it.
There was this party at Uncle Mike's house And afterwards, my mom asked Uncle Chris if he would drive me home. This was back when I was with my dad. This was not that long ago. This was only like a few years ago. So like I don't even have an excuse to know better. So, because Uncle Chris would drive me home. And I'm really bad with directions. Like I said, it's only a few years ago. I was like 19. I should be way better. And he's driving. And I was like, turn here, Uncle Chris. This is it. This is the street I live on. Turn on the street, Uncle Chris. He's like, all right, yeah, she bought you right back, and he turns down the street, and we're listening to the In-A-Gadda-Da-Vida, and he's drumming on the steering wheel like he always does. He's really excited, and he's slowing down because he's waiting for me to tell him the house. And I'm like, I know as soon as he turns down the street, it's the wrong street, but I just wait for so long to tell him, and I know he's gonna be so mad when he finally hears it. So I'm sitting there and I'm acting like I'm looking for the house too. I'm like, is that the house? Uncle Chris is like, where do you live, Michael? What about that? Where's your house? And I go, I had to tell him, I'm like, actually, Uncle Chris, I think this is the wrong street. I'm pretty sure I live at the street, one more street down from this. And he goes, what? Oh, come on, don't you know where you fucking live? It's pretty funny, because he got so bad. And I'm going to miss Uncle Chris. So, rest in peace, Uncle Chris. I had good times with you.
There's really no class or no book or no experiences that really prepare us for a moment like this. Chris was a dad, he was a brother, he was a dear friend, he was a son, and he's remembered for the way he touched so many people. I had a chance to sit with Phelan and Anne Marie in my office, and I asked Phelan, I said, "Tell me about your dad." And she sat up straight, and a huge smile came across her face. And she said, "He was so much fun." And then she just talked about how he loved people, and how he loved his family, and how he loved his friends. And the question in a funeral like this is what happened? How did it go from that to here? And, is it just a fallen world? The powers of depression, the battles that Chris fought? And the truth is, we'll never really know. We don't know. And that's what makes funerals so hard, is that not knowing. In this funeral, there seems to be an added level of sadness and despair. It seems sadder than most. But we're going to celebrate Chris's life today, and we're going to ask people to come up and share their experiences with Chris and their memories of Chris. And it'll be a great time to celebrate who Chris was, that guy that Phelan told me about. It'll also be a great day for you as you go from here to share conversations about Chris and to honor who he was. And that's what we're going to do today. We would encourage you to take comfort from the one that Chris trusted, the one that he trusted with his soul, and that would be Jesus. And these aren't just words we share because we're here in a church, but it's a part of who Chris was, and it's a part of what I heard as I asked for stories about Chris. He trusted Jesus as his Lord. He believed he was the Son of God, and he believed in the power of the cross. Jesus spoke words worth repeating in this moment. Even though we may have heard them before, they're still true. They originated on the lips of the only source of true hope that we have. On the occasion of his dear friend Lazarus' death, Jesus said, "I am the resurrection and the life. I am the one who raises the dead and gives them life again. Anyone who believes in me, even though he dies, like anyone else, he'll live again. That person is given eternal life for believing in me and shall never perish." Can I just tell you, I believe that. I believe that Chris is in a place where there's no more pain, where he's not battling the depression and the difficulties that he had, where there's no more tears. And we find comfort in the promise of God's words to say, "Anyone who believes in me, even though he dies, shall live again." So let's begin the service by acknowledging God who made us and offers us eternity to those who believe and follow his Son. Let's pray. Father, I am so glad that you have promised to be here in moments like this when we really need you. Our great God, God of power, God of love, God of hope, thank you for being here. Thank you for your might. Thank you for your strength. Thank you for your compassion. Thank you for your grace and your faithfulness. We pray for the family. We pray for Phelan and Brandon. How hard this is, we just pray for them. We pray that you would guide their thoughts and that their thoughts would turn towards you, towards your grace and your plan and your comfort. Amen. This time I'd like to invite Holly up for our scripture reading.
A reading from John 14, 1 through 6. Do not let your hearts be troubled. Trust in God. Trust also in me. In my Father's house are many rooms. If it were not so, I would have told you. I am going there to prepare a place for you. And if I go and prepare a place for you, I will come back and take you to be with me, that you also meet me where I am. You know the way to the place where I am going. Thomas said to him, Lord, we don't know where you are going, so how can we know the way? Jesus answered, I am the way and the truth and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me.
I want to thank the Cole family, all Chris's family, for raising my brother this morning and having him come up here. Thanks. There's so many phenomenal stories about Chris. They're just unbelievable. Chris brought so much joy to my life and so many others. I remember this crazy softball team we had back in 1983. And I'll be brief. I want to be able to speak here without pause. But high fly ball, center field. Center fielder comes up, right center fielder comes up, the right fielder comes up. The right fielder and the left center fielder collide. They're on the ground. Right fielder comes up, the ball hits him on the head, and he trips over the two guys in front of him, all three around the ground. And there's Chris up in the outfield, just laughing hysterically, laughing with joy. I mean, I'm mad, and I'm looking, and Chris is just laughing uncontrollably. And I look back at that. It's just one of those moments where Chris could just find humor in that situation. He was a competitive athlete. We had this landscaping company. We worked for it. This guy was very merciful to hire all of us. And we're in this, I think it was the owner of Thornapple Valley, huge house out in Southfield. And there we are, and Ted and him are kind of going at it. There the apples start flying. There's apple trees everywhere. So we're supposed to be working. We're chucking apples at each other. I remember winging apples. We're going at, there's 10 of us in this guy's yard throwing apples at each other. And the guy comes out, and all of a sudden he confronts Ted, and here comes the owner of the landscaping company. He's freaking out. The guy looks at him and goes, you don't have to be mad. I never laughed so hard in my life. That's the funny thing. My wife's upset. I had to keep her inside the house. And we're laughing hysterically. Once again, Chris, he had that humor. He had that joy. He could bring joy to so many situations. Back with the softball team, it's the end of the season. Me and Chris had a little falling out and playing next to each other. Game went back and forth, and all of a sudden, bench clearing brawl ensued. I'm on top of this guy on the ground. 5 people jump on me, and me and Chris were mad at each other. But this is Chris Cole. This was pure Chris Cole, 165 pounds. We call these guys the bear bellies. They were huge, And here's Chris. And he saw that I was in trouble. And here's Chris flying up. Boom. When the pile clears off me, I look up, there he is, slugging it out with this guy that was twice his size. Because that's who Chris was. Chris, I tell you, it's a memorial, and sometimes at memorials people search for things to say. You didn't have to search for things for Chris. Chris had so much heart. He was the most courageous man I've ever known in my life. I want to read something real quick. I'll be brief. And I'm not comparing Chris to Jesus Christ, but listen to what Jesus values most. My command is this: love each other as I have loved you. Greater love has no one than this, that he lay his life down for his friends. Well, you know what? I'll tell you what, Chris took that 2 steps beyond his Detroit cop, because he would lay his life down for anybody that came in his path. That's who Chris was. That's who Chris was. That's the man I've known. 30-year friendship with this guy. He was one of my closest friends. And one last thing I want to say. I don't know what people value in friendship. I really don't. I don't know how you value it. Everyone has different things. Sometimes we just need each other and we offer each other. Sometimes it's those who are funny that that's attractive. One of the things I've always valued, if I could say one thing that who Chris was, he was loyal. What a loyal friend. I'll miss him. I hate the cliche. I know he's in eternity. I'll miss all the football games, everything, the time that we spent together. But if there's somewhere in your life that you have beef with somewhere, reconcile that relationship. You know, me and him were true friends. I never had a better friend, and I just hope that somewhere along those lines that don't leave this world like that. And that's one thing I loved about Chris. You know, Chris hated grudges. He was reconciled to everyone. He had the biggest heart of anyone I've ever met. Thank you.
There's a lot that can be said about my dad. He lived an amazing life. He had many accomplishments, and I've been thinking a lot about what his greatest accomplishment has been in his life. But, you know, what I realized and come to terms with is basically his greatest accomplishment is whenever he would meet someone, you know, his friends and family, you would see a little bit of him whenever you talk to someone else, you know. Like I talked to some of his friends, and just I hear some of his jokes from him, and a little bit of his personality, a little bit of his quirks, you know. So he was the type of person, you know, when you became friends with him, a part of you stayed in yourself. There's not many people also who has a heart of gold and also is rock tough. He was rock tough, and one of the greatest memories I have with my dad is he used to be obsessed with that American Beauty movie, and he would always rewind the part with Kevin Spacey at the end where, you know, he relives all his memories and his accomplishments and stuff like that. And I know my dad, when he looked at all his memories and accomplishments of his life, I know he smiled like Kevin Spacey did in that movie, because he had so many accomplishments and he was proud of everything he's done and touched so many lives. So you guys are a testimony of that. So, and I thank you guys for all coming.
My father was not just a father, he was a friend. The best memories I have with him, the best memories I have is with him. Not a day went by that you couldn't feel his love. He wore his heart on his sleeve and loved people unconditionally right where they were in life. My dad had a hard life, and he hated the thought of anyone going through the pain that he had. So he's always trying to help people, whether it was telling him a story, doing a dance, or just making you laugh. Seeing people happy made him happy. My dad was famous for nicknames. He loved giving them, and they stuck for years. Since the day my daughter Michaela was born, he called her Mule. I actually hardly ever heard him call her Michaela. He loved her so much, and to see the two of them together is a blessing I'll remember forever. Out of 13 years I played soccer, my dad never missed one game, even though he was working 2 to 3 jobs sometimes to make sure his family was taken care of. He loved working out and could run like lightning. I remember my dad with his jogging shorts and no shirt and headphones. He loved vacations and being in the sun. He was crazy about music and loved playing sports. I can't even begin to describe to you how much my dad will be missed. I'm so lucky to have had the 22 years with him that I did. I love you, Dad. You're at home now and forever in our hearts.
We want to thank you for being here with us today and over the past 2 days. We as a family learned so many more things about Chris in those 2 days than we could have ever learned just by talking to him, because of the tremendous outpouring of friendship and love at the funeral home. Chris had an unsurpassed capacity for love and friendship, like nothing we've ever seen or could ever duplicate. Chris had no enemies. He had 1 million friends. Last night, I almost asked for a show of hands of how many people had either lived with Chris or crashed on his couch. There must have been 30 of them. Go ahead if you want to, it'd be fun. When we were little on Alta Road, and I was 9, he was 6, I felt it was my duty to protect him. And it was in few years later, I learned he didn't really need my protection. But he craved my love, even up until last 2 weeks ago when he was at my house. I'm sure some of you can relate to this. Chris had pet names for everybody, for kids mostly. Someone here in the front row named Patrick. St. Petrosius! What up with that? Every single time. Chris had an interesting habit of calling my house when he knew I wasn't there to leave telephone messages. But they weren't Chris. They were Muammar Gaddafi or Saddam Hussein saying, "I need a colonel in my Air Force, would you mind coming over?" I don't know why he did that. Since this all came about last week, I had at least 4 of you either call my house or tell me personally that you were his best friend. Just want to tell you that. Leave it to Chris to have multiple best friends. But that didn't surprise me. Now, the last time Chris came over to our house was at New Year's. The time before that it was Christmas. And both times we were up to all hours on my computer, and he wasn't that computer literate. He wanted me to pull up YouTube and look at old videos from the 70s. So we did that. He'd say, "Pull up this song now. Do you remember that song?" And we probably watched 40 of them. And he was having the time of his life dancing. And one thing he particularly liked was the Beatles. If he were here, maybe he'd say this: "Please stop the clock. When I find myself in times of trouble, Mother Mary comes to me, speaking words of wisdom, let it be." In my hour of darkness, she is standing right in front of me, speaking words of wisdom, let it be. And when the broken-hearted people living in the world agree there will be an answer, let it be. For though they may be parted, there is still a chance that they will see there will be an answer, let it be. And when the night is cloudy, there is still a light that shines on me. Shine until tomorrow, let it be. I want to leave you with Chris's last words, as far as we know. To all of you, don't be mad. Don't be mad. I'll be okay now. He's okay. And all of us have a great big hole where our heart used to be.
I'm so glad you're all here. The road is long, with many a winding turn. It leads us to who knows where. But I'm strong enough to carry him. He ain't heavy. He's my brother. So on we go. His welfare is my concern. No burden is he to bear. We'll get there. For I know you would not encumber me. He ain't heavy. He's my brother. If I'm laden at all, I'm laden with sadness, but everyone's heart is filled with the gladness of love for one another. And the road doesn't weigh me down at all. He ain't heavy. He's my brother Chris. I prepared a speech. I can't read it because it doesn't matter. Most of the things I had to say, I either told you at the funeral home or heard it through Brandon or Rick or Mike's talks. Chris had an unbelievable gift to make each one of us feel like we were the most important person in his life. I just think that is a gift, and no matter what he was going through, he always made you feel like you were his favorite person. If you were his child, you were his favorite child. If you were his sister, you were his favorite sister. If you were his brother, you were his favorite brother. If you were his coworker, you were his favorite coworker. He made you feel that way. And he just really had the ability to love. And after this happened, every single one of us has been changed. And I know that it will raise our awareness of ourselves and our own behaviors, that we can do what Chris did and love one another. Because that's the only way we're going to get through this and whatever else happens in our lives. If you hear the song I sing, you will understand. Listen. You hold the key to love and fear, all in your trembling hand. Just one key unlocks them both, and it's at your command. We each have a part of Chris in us, and that's the part of us that's going to unlock the door to love one another. And whether I've met you or not, I want you to know Chris has talked about you. If you're in this room, I know you, whether I've met you face to face, because he talked about you. And everyone he knew was important to him. Everyone he knew was his favorite person. And I know that's our takeaway, that we can go forward and let everyone in our lives know how important they are to us and express it, because Chris was very demonstrative and very expressive of his feelings. And I really admire that. He had no airs, no inhibitions about showing love. And you all know that. And courage. Love and courage, both. I'm so glad you're here, because Chris is happy that we're all together. He pulled together that reunion, didn't he? And so that's why we're here, to celebrate his life.
ain't heavy. He's my brother. And he's your brother.
This crowd's tough at the phone. Oh, please, bear with me. I'm still afraid. Anyway, this is truly the hardest talk I've ever had to give. When a news set in about Chris, this might sound strange, but I kept thinking, oh, goodness, I gotta pay tribute to my big brother. I just do. I know if there's one thing I want to do, I have to pay tribute to my big brother. So first of all, I just want to thank God for giving Chris to me as my big brother. He was such a huge part of my life. Chris protected me since I was a baby. And I have to tell you, there were times where that came in mighty handy. When I started high school, my freshman year, I was lucky enough to meet a cheerful young man named George Washington who was in a trench coat. And he didn't like me too much, and I don't know why. Well, anyway, he had a bad habit of meeting me at my locker every day and harassing me. Well, I didn't want to tell Chris about it because I was afraid he'd kill the guy, of course. But it got to a point where I couldn't take it anymore. So finally, he used to drive me to and from school because we went to school together. And finally one day we were driving home and I go, Chris, I gotta tell you, I was very upset. And he's like, what's up, Sue? And I go, well, there's this guy named George Washington in a trench coat and he keeps bothering me. And he's like, Sue, why didn't you tell me sooner? I'm like, I don't know, I just was afraid to. And he goes, don't worry, I'll meet you at your locker tomorrow. Sure enough, George Washington was there. Chris came up to him and he explained very clearly that he was messing with the wrong person. And if he didn't stop immediately, he'd be very sorry. I never saw George after that. I wonder whatever happened to him. Not kidding. Now, you all know my brother was goofy at times. I mean, we all know about him walking down the street with the 5-foot boa constrictor. I heard from his children that he liked to sunbathe on a trampoline with a snake crawling all over him. I've never heard anybody doing that before. But that's great. A couple of years ago, I came into town. It was summertime, and Patty still lived here, and we all gathered at Chris's house. Brandon, Phelan, some of your friends came over, and Chris is like, hey, Sue, why don't you come in here a minute? I got something I want to show you. I'm like, all right. Took me into his office. He had a baby alligator. Pulls it out. He's like, here, it won't hurt you. Want to hold it? I'm like, oh, no thanks. His neighbor was a hairy tarantula. No thanks. I made my getaway out of there pretty quickly. Never walked in there again. Mike talked about how Chris had pet names for people. Well, he had one for me. He affectionately referred to me as Toot the Boot, or I guess the formal version would be Toot Nanny. I loved it. But the problem is, I don't know what that means. And I forgot to ask him. I can hardly believe how many childhood friends have come by in the last couple of days to say goodbye to Chris. It's really been overwhelming for our family, and absolutely everyone that came, it just blew it away. It's just amazing. We really appreciate your kind words and stories that you shared with us, and we will cherish your sweetness forever. I want to tell Brandon, Phelan, and Noodle how much you were loved by him. Brandon, you are truly your father's son. Not only with your beautiful face, but in your generous heart. You have made him very proud. Have no doubt, Brandon, he is in you. And many of the reasons that you are the extraordinary young man you are today. Phelan, you're simply a beautiful girl that he adored. Since the day you were born, you put a twinkle in his eye. Phelan, he was so happy that you found true love. And you knew that you were going to be happy. And that gave him great comfort. And little Noodle, what a joy you brought to his life. Last time I talked to Chris, he was with his little Noodle at Chuck E. Cheese. And I think he called everybody here, right? And I can't tell you how many people told me, yeah, he was at Chuck E. with Noodle. Anyway, I was listening to him, and he was chasing her around, and I could hear her in the background with that crazy music going, "Papa, I need more monies." And he's like, "Okay, hold on a minute, Sue." Oh, geez, there she goes, and he's chasing her around. It was just so cute. I think that was his happiest times when he was with his little Noodle. In closing, I want to say a sincere thank you for coming to pay tribute to Chris. He loved all of you, and that I'm sure of. As I leave here today, I want to say to you all, please, let's all learn from his example. The one that he set of unconditional love, unprejudiced, compassion, and a sense of caring more about how people feel, especially those that are down. Chris was an exceptional man who could care less about how much money you had, what car you drove, or where you lived. What he cared about is how you can touch somebody else's life. Chris, I say to you today, I promise to do my best to be more like you and teach my kids more about how important it is to be a compassionate person. I will see people through your eyes and give them the love you would. Don't worry about us, Brandon or Phelan or Noodle or Anne Marie. We will be okay and take good care of one another. We will never ever forget you, Chris. You are forever in our hearts. I love you. Peace out.
I was Chris's stepmom. When I married his father, Jack, that was when Chris came into my life. And within a short period of time, there were 8 children in our home. 8 children turned my life and my heart inside out and upside down. And I have to say that the road has often been very bumpy, and those bumps have hurt. But I have learned that you can find joy in the journey, regardless of circumstances. I thought a lot in the last few days about the fact that Chris has been with us and now he's gone. And I thought so much about the word remember. I think it is so important that we remember. If a life passes and we don't remember what we learned from that life, then the gift that has been given to us is lost. And I just want to share with you briefly 3 things that I feel were significant that Chris taught to each of us. And I know each of you that knew him will understand why I chose these 3 things. The first is, and everyone's already mentioned this, but Chris had a great ability to laugh. Life for everyone is difficult. The dial, or the wheel of sorrow, eventually that dial points to every person on this earth, and no one is exempt from that. But Chris had an ability, in spite of all the trials, and believe me, he had more than his share of adversities to handle. But he managed, in spite of all that, to be able to laugh spontaneously at the most mundane things. And because of his contagious laughter, we just responded to that. We just laughed with him. Many times it was a quirky thing we were laughing about, but his laugh was just so, it was just so real that it was contagious, infectious. And it helped us all. I believe that this is one of the important messages of life. We can concentrate on the difficulties that we have, ask the whys, and we won't always find answers to the why, but we can find answers to how we can live and how we can still experience joy. Because the reality is, we are here to be happy. That is why we're here. We have a Father in heaven who gave us this opportunity to come to earth, and He wants us to be happy. We have experiences with good and experiences with evil. And in the choices that we make, we determine based on our own happiness. Chris made the important choices for a man when he made the choice to be a great husband and a great father. When he goes back home and he talks to his Father in heaven, he will not ask Chris or you or me if we were famous, if we made lots of money, if we made a good impression. He will want to know if you were a good father, a good brother, and a good husband, and a good friend. So, Chris, I would say we should remember the importance of laughter. Laughter during times of hard times and times of sorrow. The second thing that we have all learned from Chris is the ability to forget yourself and to reach out to others. Over the last 2 evenings, I have talked to, I would say literally dozens of people who have said, Chris was such a help to my elderly parents. Chris was such a help to my children. Chris was such a help to my buddy. Chris was such a help to me. Chris didn't ever care about your station in life or whether or not you even deserved his help. That wasn't important to him. He was so spontaneous. He had such an open heart. If there was a need, he just automatically responded. So I would say that from Chris, a second thing that we should remember is that if you forget yourself and you reach out to other people, and you don't have to look very far, and you don't have to do great or dynamic things to help other people. It really is the small and simple things, the simple things that you shared with us as you shared memories of your times with Chris. Those are the things that have helped his brothers and his sisters and his daughter and his son and Anne Marie. These are the things that have made the difference, these small and simple things that in ways that changed your life. So I think it's important that we remember that if we want to be happy, we need to forget ourselves. I would say in a world that is pretty focused on the me generation, that Chris was unusual in that he didn't seem to be selfish. He didn't seem to be turned into himself. The third thing that I would say that Chris has taught me and taught most of us, and something that we should remember, is the importance of humility. I think it's very rare to find a person who's truly humble, who really does not esteem himself yourself above another person. That ability. I know that there's a great feeling of loss in Chris not being with us. But I guess I feel like I want to express the hope that I feel and the hope that all of us can feel. I know that these 8 children have impacted my life for many years. But I know more importantly that they will impact my life for the rest of eternity. Simply put, I know that these children, that we will be together forever family. I know that. And I know it isn't true just for me, but it's true for you in your relationships with your family. When our Father in heaven, who is the Father of everyone on this earth, when he sent us down here, he organized us in families in advance that when we go on for eternity, that we will also, in that environment, be with that as families. Chris does not cease to exist. None of us ever cease to exist. He just moved from one place to another place. He's still here. He's just free from those sorrows and trials and conflicts and challenges that life presents to us. And he's not in limbo doing nothing. He's just busy going about other things, making other discoveries, and learning what his purpose and his mission is now on the other side of the veil. But he's happy, and he doesn't have the burdens that you and I have. But the one thing he would tell us is, please just enjoy the time. Reach out to other people. Laugh. Enjoy life. And trust that there is a God who placed us all down here, who absolutely has a plan for us when it's time for us to go to the other side of the veil. We all love Chris because he was so genuine. There was no pretense about him. But I think we need to remember, and we need to say, how can I take what Chris has shared with me, and how can I incorporate that into my life? I know that his brothers and his sisters have said that many times, and as sad as time has been for them, I know that they have suddenly become aware of what their brother has taught them. Something they contemplated when he was here, but they've thought about it now. And that means that his life and his memory is for a purpose, for a good purpose. The world can be a better place because of Chris. It can be a better place if you remember him and the good man that he was, and if you take that example, especially those of you who do it so well, and then you say, I'm going to try to be what he wants me to be. And I will also say, by the pastor earlier when he said that he knew that Chris looked up to Christ. This is a good example for us. And we can start with that example. And from there we can look to Christ and remember that as children of God, despite our weaknesses and our frailties, we are capable at some point in time of becoming perfect, even as our Father in heaven. And I leave you this in Jesus' name.
Revelations 21, 2 through 5. I saw the holy city, the new Jerusalem, coming down out of heaven from God, prepared as a bride, beautifully dressed. I heard a loud voice from the throne saying, "Now the dwelling of God is mine, is with men, and he will live with them. They will be his people, and God himself will be with them and be their God. He will wipe every tear from their eye. There will be no more death or mourning or crying or pain, for the old order of things has passed new.
When peace like a river attended my way, when sorrows like sea alone, whatever my life Thou hast taught me to say, it is well with my soul. It is well with my soul. Is well, it is well with my soul. And Lord, hasten the day when my faith shall be silent. The clouds be rolled back as a scroll.
Seven years old, you heard me cry. I don't wanna say goodbye to the only man that I love, my daddy and everything he was. I don't think I could live without you. Dad, I know you're breaking in two. With tears running down his face, he says we're gonna make it. We're gonna make it. When you feel like you are all alone, just like your best friend up and gone, don't worry now. Don't worry now. You can't stop the pain from falling down, but in the end, your love will find a sound. Don't worry now. Don't worry now. It's gonna be okay. doesn't like